slaughter, but every Dravari soldier, every commander, every instigator was erased. The galaxy watched in horror as the proud Dravari Empire shrank in weeks, reduced from arrogant conquerors to desperate fugitives. The humans never shouted, never gloated. They moved with silence, and when they struck with fire. The weight of retribution. At the siege of Varnak, the Dravari homeworld, their final fleets assembled. Tens of thousands of ships formed a wall around their planet, desperate, proud, terrified. The humans came in silence. No war drums, no banners, only black ships blotting out the stars. The Dravari fleet opened fire in desperation, millions of plasma bolts streaking across space. The humans answered with annihilation. The sky became fire. Dravari ships ruptured and fell in waves, their admirals screaming into broken comms. Human dreadnoughts advanced through the inferno, shields burning but unbroken, their guns thundering without pause. Then the Leviathan fired its main weapon. A single beam of condensed fury split the heavens, carving through fleets and atmosphere alike, shaking the crust of Varnak itself. The Dravari Council surrendered within hours, not out of courage, but because they had no empire left to command. The aftermath of fire. When the last guns fell silent, the galaxy trembled. The Dravari Empire, once feared, once proud, was gone, reduced to scattered refugees whispering in shadows. Human fleets did not stay, they did not conquer, they did not enslave. They left silence where arrogance had once lived. In the halls of other empires, rulers shivered. They replayed the images, black fleets blotting out suns, weapons that cracked worlds, soldiers who never faltered. The whispers spread like plague across the stars. Do not provoke Earth. They wait, they endure, but if you strike them, they will burn you from the galaxy. And so humanity returned to silence. But now, it was not the silence of weakness. It was the silence of fire waiting to be called. The galaxy finally understood. From silence to fire, human retaliation is not war. It is judgment. And it always comes. The first strike came without warning. The Dravari Dominion's fleet descended on Eidolon 4, a peaceful human colony orbiting a pale blue star, with all the subtlety of a predator toying with its prey. The colonists were farmers, scientists, children, civilian souls who had never seen warships so large. The Dravari flagship, the Vraxan's Glory, hovered above the settlement like a god blotting out the sky. Its commander, Archoverseer Calric, gave the order without hesitation. Burn it, leave only ash. Orbital bombardments rained down, searing the land, shattering oceans, and vaporizing entire cities in a wash of plasma fire. Screams carried across open comms before silence consumed them. The Dominion fleet did not stop at destruction. Survivors fleeing in cargo ships were hunted down, their distress signals mocked and recorded for amusement. One crew begged for mercy as their engines sputtered. Calric himself laughed as his gunners reduced them to drifting wreckage. "This is humanity," he sneered, voice carrying through open frequencies meant to humiliate. "A fragile race that clings to soft soil and fragile domes. They will not answer. They cannot answer." To the Dravari, it was a spectacle, a show of dominance, a reminder to the galaxy that their empire remained unchallenged. And in the aftermath, with Eidolon 4 turned into glowing slag, Calric raised a toast aboard his ship. "To silence," he declared, "the silence of Earth's broken pride." The crew roared with laughter. They believed this was the end of the story. They were wrong. Mockery in the halls of power. In the Dominion's core worlds, The attack was celebrated as a triumph. Holofeeds replayed the burning of Eidolon 4 like entertainment, their newscasters sneering at the soft-skinned Terrans. At the high conclave of the Dominion, senators drank and mocked the supposed weakness of humans. "They posture like diplomats," one said, swirling his glass, "but their fleets are dust compared to ours." "Patience," another scoffed, "is just another word for cowardice." Across alien markets, laughter echoed. To the galaxy at large, the story was clear. The Dravari had humiliated the upstart species from Sol, and Earth would grieve in silence. Merchants spoke casually of how humanity would retreat back to its cradle. Soldiers boasted of future campaigns to carve out more colonies. But deep beneath the mocking chorus, unease flickered. There were whispers in darker corners. Humanity had been underestimated before. Traders recalled the wars of old, where humans had survived against impossible odds, rebuilding again and again. The Dravari dismissed such talk. They convinced themselves Earth was civilized, restrained, unwilling to wade into fire. They mistook silence for surrender. When the silence broke, it began subtly, too subtle for the Dominion to recognize until it was far too late. The traffic lanes of the outer colonies shifted. Human convoys went dark, their ships vanishing into FTL shadows. Civilian chatter ceased, replaced by encrypted silence. Then, at the edges of known space, strange anomalies appeared. Entire Dominion patrols stopped reporting. Outposts were found abandoned, ships drifting with hulls carved open as if by invisible blades. At first Calric dismissed it. Rebellion, he spat, petty revenge, nothing more. But the silence deepened. No merchant dared travel near human borders. No scout returned. And then the silence cracked open. On the Dominion's frontier world of Krelith, comms erupted with a chilling broadcast. Not frantic, not panicked, calm, measured. "This is Earth. You brought fire to our people. We are answering." Moments later, the sky split. From the void emerged ships so vast they seemed to carry night itself. Dreadnoughts of blackened steel, their hulls marked only with a single emblem, the pale blue circle of Earth. Behind them, entire fleets stretched like storms. The Dominion's garrison scrambled, launching interceptors in desperate waves. But for every ship they deployed, a dozen human warships rose in silence, their weapons igniting with cold precision. For centuries, humanity had stayed quiet. They had built in shadow, preparing for a day no one thought would come. And now, as their engines roared, that silence transformed into fire. Fire across the stars. The retaliation did not strike like a blade. It fell like judgment. On Krelith, orbital platforms erupted in white fire, shredded before they could raise shields. Human carriers deployed swarms of attack craft that darted through Dominion defenses like sparks in dry grass. Cities below trembled as the Dominion's proud fortresses collapsed in minutes. News of the assault spread like wildfire, but by the time reports reached the core worlds, entire sectors were already aflame. The humans moved with terrifying efficiency. Their fleets didn't pause for occupation or speeches. They didn't declare conquest. They erased. On Irax Prime, the Dominion's shipyards, the largest in their empire, were cracked apart by kinetic strikes. The sound of twisted steel echoed into space, a dirge for the Dominion's pride. Calric watched helplessly as messages poured in. Dozens of colonies lost, flagships destroyed, commanders begging for reinforcements that would never arrive. And then came the most chilling report of all. The Vraxon's Glory, his flagship, the same ship that had laughed as Eidolon 4 burned, was targeted. The humans didn't send a fleet, they sent one ship. A dreadnought larger than anything Calric had ever seen, its weapons glowing with silent fury. No demand was made, no mercy offered. It fired once, and the Vraxans' glory ceased to exist. Retribution without mercy. The galaxy had never seen war like this. Where the Dravari had expected a counterattack, they faced something more, a storm without end. Humanity did not fight for conquest nor for resources. They fought for vengeance, and vengeance had no restraint. Entire Dominion sectors went dark. Fleets that had once paraded as invincible were reduced to drifting wreckage. Commanders who had laughed at human patience died with their laughter choking in their throats. And through it all, Earth's fleet spoke only through brief, chilling transmissions. You silenced our people. We returned the silence with fire. Planets that resisted were leveled. Garrisons that begged for surrender were ignored. Humanity had waited, measured, and calculated, and now they answered in the only language the Dominion had taught them: annihilation. Witnesses described skies that burned for days, filled with falling wreckage and firestorms. Survivors spoke of human soldiers descending from orbit like storms of iron, their faces hidden, their weapons absolute. The retaliation was not war, it was punishment. The silence after fire. When it ended, the galaxy held its breath. The Dominion no longer boasted. Its fleets were gone. Its proud worlds were reduced to ash, their capitals silent, their halls of power empty. Calric's name was erased from records, his arrogance remembered only in whispers. In the smoldering ruins, refugees and survivors spoke softly, never raising their voices. Among them, a phrase began to spread, hushed but carrying farther than any broadcast. Never provoke